In 1845, a British scientist created a detailed map of Ireland during the famine, showing which areas had the most distress and food shortages, but instead of using it to send aid, British investors used it as a guide to identify which Irish estates they could buy at low prices, and within 10 years, British ownership of Irish land went from 85% to 95%. The map was created by a government commission, documenting food scarcity and population struggles with scientific precision. Color-coding regions by severity deep red meant severe conditions, yellow meant distress, green meant manageable, and instead of using this data to allocate resources, British land investors used it as an opportunity guide. The map maker, William Wilde, Oscar Wilde's father, genuinely thought he was creating a tool to help direct relief efforts. But when he presented it to the British government, land speculators gained access to copies and started purchasing Irish estates in the red zones at very low prices because they knew Irish landowners would be forced to sell during the crisis. By 1855, just 10 years after the famine started, Irish Catholic land ownership dropped from approximately 15% to less than 5% of Ireland, and that 10% transfer went to British landlords who had acquired property during the crisis period. The British government passed laws during the famine, making it difficult for Irish tenant farmers to receive poor relief unless they relinquished their land claims first, so struggling families had to choose between keeping their small farms or accessing workhouse assistance. It was a legal mechanism that resulted in massive land transfers from Irish to British ownership during the crisis. The famine coincided with the largest involuntary land transfer in Irish history. Nearly 1 million people passed away, 2 million emigrated, and the ownership structure of Ireland fundamentally changed. The original maps still exist in British archives, and historians who've studied them say the correlation between the red zones, marked for highest distress, and the estates that changed ownership to British hands within 5 years is remarkably high, suggesting this wasn't random market activity, but strategic acquisition during a crisis period. Today, some estates in Ireland are still owned by families whose ancestors acquired the land during the famine era at significantly reduced prices. There are properties in Ireland now, some operating as hotels or tourist attractions, owned by families whose great-great-grandparents purchased these estates during the 1840s crisis period when Irish families were forced to sell. If you just learned that detailed maps documenting famine conditions were created and later used to guide land purchases during the crisis, and some of that land remains in the same family ownership today, follow for more historical Irish land ownership patterns and how major events shaped Ireland's property distribution.